See, there are hundreds of coding AI tools that you've probably seen and you are seeing every day. And I can tell you, I've worked at Google for 4 years. I have done hundreds of different products, projects, SaaS tools, internships, contract work. I've worked for free. I've worked with agencies. I've done consulting work in the last 7, 8 years, 10 years, and I have made websites with everything: WordPress. I've used Shopify. I've used code, obviously HTML, CSS, any stack that you think about. I've used Laravel. I did Ruby on Rails. I have pretty much explored everything on the planet, and I do think as a young software engineer, I'd have the experience to tell you that AI is 100 times better at writing code than you think it is. And the harsh reality is that the junior software engineers are uh, not at risk, but the average junior software engineers are definitely at risk. And I am going to give you many different examples. So please look at this from an open mind so that you start using these tools, and I'm going to give you a simple timeline. So the timeline is that when I was applying for many different jobs, so let's say I applied for Google back in 2018, 2019. Back in the days, even doing one full stack project end to end, which had authentication, which had some sort of feature, so which had, okay, the user could log in, see the app, see the feature, they could log out, and they could use the app for a little bit. I think that was considered, a pretty good product. This is a time when, let's say, lead code was getting famous. Lead code was the only big tech product. There were, all these YouTubers that you see were starting to, make these videos about writing code, about, JavaScript and all these things. There were no thousands of videos on JavaScript or React or full stack. Then came the 1% developers. The 1% developers were people who made applications, who made multiple projects, so full stack projects in any sort of tech stack. So let's say Ruby on Rails, Laravel, PHP, which is Laravel, and then React, obviously, and then any sort of Android, iOS, whatever it is. So anybody who had two or three products or projects, he was considered that, okay, he has a good knowledge on this, on the overall tech stack. And then came the 0.001% or 0.1% of the developers who used to go to hackathons and used to win hackathons. And UMass hacks started there, and many new hackathons were just starting. Pen hacks was getting famous. All these hackathons were getting famous, in 2017, 18, 19. Things were still popping up. Okay, what is a hackathon? People still don't go to hackathons right now, but back then hackathons were popping up. We used to go to hackathons. We used to see that, okay, there's 100 people. That's a good hackathon. There were, hackathons where there were only 30 people. Small colleges were starting to do hackathons, and companies used to come there. Some people used to build something. And let me tell you that the winner in those hackathons was, those were very basic projects. And a sample project could be that you used Google Maps API. You integrated Google Maps API and you made something. You integrated, let's say, a VR SDK and you made something. Let's say you integrated a talking library or or an AI thing with Firebase, or something like this. So Firebase has an ML kit. You integrated ML kit. So you were, okay, he has integrated machine learning, right? And let's say if you have authentication, some sort of library, some sort of integration, you integrated a restaurant API. People were like, oh, he created a restaurant app. But the problem today is that all those things can be done with AI easily. You can have a complete SaaS application within minutes. So now there are two sides of the story. First is that AI is still far behind in writing complete code. Complete code means code which is not buggy at all, code which does not need any help from a human, code that can fix itself, and code that is scalable, and all these things. So it is still far behind, but I think in the few months and years it will get better. And the second thing is that there's no individual way of running, using these AI tools. So somebody has to use these AI tools, even if they are using, right? So for example, for debugging, there's CodeRabbit, right? Most people don't know about CodeRabbit, but CodeRabbit is something which a lot of people will integrate in the future, right? If either they will use CodeRabbit or they will have a version of CodeRabbit integrated into their code base. So this is for debugging, right? So let's say you have a PR which has some bugs. This goes into that PR and finds those bugs and reports. So already you are losing one person in the team. So the whole point is that if you needed 10 people, you probably just need two or three now, or let's say you need four, right? So Paras Chopra, let's say Paras Chopra tweeted something, right? Look at this. Look at this tweet. And again, I am not saying that all the jobs are done. I'm not saying everything is finished. I'm just saying look at what people are talking about. I gave it, and who is Paras Chopra? Paras Chopra is not an average human walking around, right? He is one of the top entrepreneurs from India, one of the top founders. If they are saying something, I think it is our duty to listen and find out, okay, what the hell is actually going on. So he gave a task to an intern, expecting it to take few weeks. He got within a day, finishing it to satisfaction. These young people with AI super are a force of nature. So again, people who are using AI will far, you know, what is the word? Far succeed, or far will move way ahead of people who are not using AI. Unfortunately, that is a reality. Now, coming back to the products and projects, if anybody had a full stack project back in my time, it was already considered top 1%. It was already considered, oh my God, he knows backend, he knows, full stack. I had a class in my college which was teaching me full stack. I learned it in 4 months, I think, which was on MERN stack. Let's say MERN stack, right? People are learning MERN stack in 2 weeks. People are learning basic MERN stack. That was only basic MERN stack, right? How do you combine five things and make a full stack? You have a database, you have a backend, you have a front end, you have some sort of library, you connect, you deploy. We were using Heroku and all sorts of weird deployment things back then, right? People use Heroku, but imagine Vercel. Super easy to deploy. Domains are easy. Hosting is easy. It was a nightmare back in the days to do all these things. So the speed has become 100x. It is far easier to make a SaaS. Nobody had a payment integration. Let me tell you something. In 2018, 19, 20, I had never seen a product which had Stripe integration. All of the hackathon projects, all of the personal projects were just free tools. Everybody was just making free tools. Nobody even knew what a SaaS was and how to integrate these payment methods, right? Now 16, 17-year-olds have their own SaaS. So I will give you hundreds of examples how to make these. Go to Lovable. You can go to Lovable. You even check out the popular things. You will see people are making SaaS tools in minutes. You can go to Bolt. If you go to Bolt, you will see that there's an integration button here. You can integrate with anything. And if there's a resume parser, you will see that there are integration of Stripe, Supervis, GitHub. So a full stack application is fine to do, right? It's easy to do. And now you have a series of cons as well. Again, I think if people have only watched the first set of few minutes of this video, they will be like, okay, this guy has gone crazy and AI is not going to take over. Absolutely, AI is never going to take over, according to me. And I think people who use AI are far succeeding people who don't use AI already, right? I don't even think how you can code without AI these days, right? You obviously need Cursor and Windsurf and all these tools. But now the con, what are the cons of this, or what are the danger side of these? What are the dangerous sides of this? The first danger side is that a lot of junior devs who are just doing the bare minimum, right, who don't even know how to integrate Stripe, who don't even know what Supabase is, they don't know what database is. I think they were just never meant to be a coder. I think that is a real answer. They were never meant to be in this ecosystem. They were forced in this ecosystem. They don't like coding, they don't like building products, so they were sort of forced in this ecosystem, and that is why they will be eliminated automatically. Second thing is that people who want to build heavy technical things, deep technical things. Let's say you have a tool like Power BI, you want to make a Power BI alternative, Tableau alternative. You have the options to build it. Go to Claude Code, go to Cursor. If you spend 10 days, you will be able to build a very complicated product, which was impossible, pretty much impossible back then. You would lose your mind back then. You would lose your shit, and you would probably just never make it. So again, that's the second point. Now, what is the third point? The third point is that if you're not using AI, again, you can just not compete. You can just not compete. That is the issue. You need to know all the tools. You need to know all the hacks. Cursor has a 10 plus hacks that you need to know. Rules. multiple settings that you can play with, multiple models that you can play with. Which model is good for debugging, which model is good for writing PS, which model is good for coding. Claude 4, Gemini 2.5, O3, three different models for three different things. How to do deep research, how to find the right libraries, tech stack to use, how to write a PRD doc, how to combine all these things and make a SaaS fast, things like that. So this will be 100 times easier. SaaS building is almost, one click. I think the future will be, even, you can just write, okay, make me a SaaS on doctors or whatever. I think it will make you, I mean, this is already 15 minutes. You can spend 15 minutes on Bolt. You will be able to make a SaaS pretty easy with one feature. So one feature SaaS is 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Two or three features SaaS would be, another. In one day you definitely can make a SaaS. That is 100% true, and there are hundreds of examples that I've given, hundreds of applications that I've built in public, that you can check, and multiple people build it all the time. So no big confusion there. So, and the fourth and final thing is, I think one of the biggest things that maybe even all these billionaires and huge tech tycoons are posting, is that if you know how to code, and if you're actually good at coding, you are going to make a lot of money. If you are good at coding, you are going to be the 10x. But if you're not good at coding, you don't like the field, you are not passionate about software, and you are still at that lower junior level, is going to be very hard. So make sure to start using these AI tools, man. Just become a builder, and I think you're going to be fine.